Today, we are talking about maximizing your Google storage. I want to talk about how you can get the most out of the free storage that you have with Google Storage, what Google Storage is to begin with, and then how you can get the most out of that free storage, and then what to consider if you're thinking about paying for more Google storage. So, maximizing your Google storage. If you use Google, which I know a lot of us do, if you don't, there's going to be other storage programs that are similar to this related to your email. But today, we're talking mainly about Google just because it's a commonly used email, all the Google apps. You may have gotten a notice that says that your account storage is almost full or is full. It might say 80% full. This can be a little alarming, a little confusing. What is that storage? How do I get more storage? How do I clear up my storage? So today we're going to talk about what to do when you see this message and how to make sure that you are using and getting the storage that you need on Google and not paying for it if you don't have to. That's another thing. So what is Google Storage? When it says Google Storage, what are they even talking about? What Google Storage is, it's a cloud file storage service. So in the cloud, it means it's not saving to your device, it's saving to an internet server that Google operates. This means all the files that you have created or received in apps like Gmail, Google Drive, Google Photos. If you get attachments in your Gmail, they'll end up being part of that storage. If you make files in Google Drive apps that are like docs or sheets or slides or any of those, they'll take up some of that storage. If you save your photos to Google Photos, if you have your photos backing up to Google Photos, those will contribute to that storage usage too. So there might be ways in which you're using that storage space that you don't even really know about, especially things like people sending you emails. Even if you haven't opened them, if they have attachments, they can take up some of that storage space. So the good thing about cloud storage is that it's not taking up space on your device. Your device is freed up to run apps and other things like that, but you do have a limited amount of free storage space available with your Google account, and that's 15 gigabytes. We'll talk about what that looks like and what the amount of gigabytes you get when you pay is. But it is quite possible, depending on how much you're using this, especially if you're backing up photos and videos, that you will get to that 15 gigabytes. I have. It took me several years, but I did. And on the left here, just to remind you, are the different apps that are involved in contributing to your Google storage. So Gmail, this is Google Drive, and this is Google Photos. What types of files are saved in Google Storage? The photos and videos that you're saving to Google Photos. If your phone is backing up to Google Photos, then all the pictures and video that you take is going in there, and that can add up quicker than some other kinds of files. Gmail messages and attachments, including things that go into your spam and trash folders. So you might not even be seeing some of these things that have attachments, but those files still are taking up space in your Google Storage. Google Meet call recording. Google Meet, it's like Zoom, but it's Google sponsored, and record those meetings. Those can take up space. I don't use that, so that's not what's contributing to my space usage, but if you do, that can be a contributor. And then any files you've created or edited in Google apps like Docs, Slides, Sheets. If somebody invited you to edit a file in Google Drive, that's going to be added to your storage as well, or taking up space in your storage as well. So what happens when your Google storage is full? You can't upload or create new files on Google Drive. Again, this is when it's full, not when it's near full, but when it hits full, you can't make new files or create or upload new files on Google Drive. You can't back up your photos and videos to Google Photos. You basically can't add new files of any form to your Google account. You may not be able to send or receive email. That's the one that really gets you. It has gotten me. If you're inhibited in sending email, that can be a real problem. So how do you free up that storage, or how do you get more storage so that your email is still accessible? And then after 2 years, if you haven't cleaned out your Google storage to give you more space, or if you haven't purchased more space, Google can actually delete those files. Again, it's 2 years. They have to let you know beforehand, but still, you want to make sure that you are doing all you can to keep your files so that they don't get deleted. So how do you free up storage space? Let's say that you got one of those notifications that you're 90% full. The thing that you can do is delete large files that you don't need. And Google actually walks you through this process and helps you to do this by identifying which files in your Google storage are taking up the most space. And then you can look at them and say, oh, I do need to keep that, or I can delete it. So in order to check this out, I did screenshots in some cases in video where I could. First, you're going to open Gmail. So find your icon that looks like this. click on Gmail. And then to access information about your Google storage, you're going to click on the icon in the top right. Mine just says F, but yours might have your picture. That's just your profile menu. So you're going to click there, and you can actually do this in any Google app. I'm just doing Gmail because I know a lot of us use it. So Gmail, click on your profile. And then down here, you're going to see something that says some percent of, if you still have a free account, 15 gigabytes used. Here, I'm using my Tech Talk test emails. I don't use this very much. That's why it's 0%. But this is where you will see what your usage is. So if you're at 90%, you might be at like 14.5 gigabytes used. So you can get a sense of how close you are to reaching your limit here. It's a good thing to check on even if you're not getting notifications. So just to go through those steps of going to your Gmail account, going to your profile, and then looking down here and seeing what your storage looks like. So in this case, obviously, this account is not in any danger, but I still want to look at it and see what the storage looks like. So you're going to click right here. I know it doesn't look like a button, but you're going to click where it says however percentage is storage used. And once you do that, you will see a menu that looks like this, or a screen that looks like this. So it'll tell you how much storage you're currently using. So I'll put it on a scale here for you. And then it'll give you this button that says clean up space. This is where it's going to show you where your largest files are so that you have the option of going in and deleting those and freeing up space. And again, you can see files in here that you might not even know are part of your storage because they've been attached to spam emails, or they're from a long time ago, or there's something that you just don't actually need. So it can be really helpful to review this. So we're going to click on clean up space here, and I'm going to show you a video of what this process looks like, even though I don't have much in my Google storage, but if you do, this will be helpful to identifying what files you might want to delete. So we click on clean up space, and what we'll see is these menus. So large drive files, spam emails, that's where I just went. So these are all spam emails that had attachments that made them big files. Let's just look at that one more time. So clean up space. They'll give you large drive files, spam emails. We're going to click on spam emails. I have 4 of these. I can select all of these, which we'll do in the next one, and delete them all. I don't need them. They're spam emails. There's nothing that I need there, and they're taking up space. Keep in mind that pictures, videos, and email file attachments are often the major space-eating large file culprit, and that's what this Google will identify for you. So we're going to go in and delete those spams. So spam emails, go back in there. We're going to click on each one of these. And just if we were going through our email or something, we're going to go up here and click delete. One thing to keep in mind is with this, you are permanently deleting these files. So if it's something that you need otherwise, don't delete it unless you really don't need it. We can talk about how to back up files you do need if you want to make room otherwise. But chances are there are a number of files that you really don't need that are going to be in your Google storage that'll be under things like these spam emails or large file attachments or things like that. So again, it's going to say you're permanently deleting these emails and attachments. Again, I'm fine with that. You can get rid of them. You have to check the little box and say permanently delete. All right, and it's telling me I cleaned up that much. That's not a ton, but every little bit counts. And if those were bigger files, that would make a bigger dent. But again, I just don't use this particular account as much. The more files you delete, the more space you'll free up in that 50 gigabytes of free storage. I want to give you another way of looking at what you have in your files. First, there's a little drop-down menu here that says more details. And what that's going to tell you is how your storage is split over these different apps. Right here, it's like I have 6.61 megabytes on Google Drive and 5.57 on Gmail. So if I was backing up photos or something like that, I would have some amount on there as well. So you can see which one of your Google apps is using up the most space on your Google storage. So you see what's taking up space. You can scroll down the screen and you'll see that you can actually select each of those apps and look at the files in that app individually. So what happened here is I clicked on my Google Drive The one file I have in my Google Drive on this account is a PDF of one of our art projects. I want to keep that, so I'm not going to delete that. So that's what you can do is you can look at these files and say either I want that or I don't want that. That's one I want to keep in there. So I'm just going to leave it there for now. But I can see what it is. It's the largest file in my Google Drive. It's taking up more space than other things. So that's another way to just go through and see what files you have. Another thing that was mentioned was buying additional storage. Whenever you get one of these messages, Google will be encouraging you to pay for more storage. If you are not ready to delete files, or if deleting files seems like a pain, or you've deleted some files and it doesn't make that much of a dent in your storage, you can pay for more Google storage for an additional monthly or yearly charge. You can break it down either way. It's up to you. It may be that you don't use Google Apps enough for it to really make much of a difference and you can stay under that 15 gigabytes. And in that case, there's no reason to pay for storage. But if you find yourself getting those messages and trying to delete files and still not getting under the 15 regularly, a little bit for extra storage. And chances are the lowest that they give you in storage is from 15 gigabytes to 100 gigabytes. So that's actually a big jump. I've done that. I'll show you what my personal storage usage looks like. You probably will not hit that 100 gigabyte limit anytime soon if you're paying for that, unless you're doing something that's like really storage intensive, and I'm not even quite sure what that would be. Lots and lots of long videos or things like that. Let me just show you what that looks like. You have the get an offer. The offer here, I think this was similar to when I did this. It's 49 cents a month for 3 months and then $1.99 after that period of time. So it's a monthly charge, and I'll show you too that you can do it by the year and it's a little bit less. You can go up to 200 gigabytes. You can go up to 2 terabytes, which is actually a little over 2,000 gigabytes. So that's if you were doing tons and tons of stuff in here. I don't think any of us probably need that much. You can also pay for it annually. And that's, again, up to you, but it can be helpful if you keep getting those full or almost full notices and deleting files hasn't made much of a difference. Okay, a couple of things to keep in mind about storage in general, but also paying for storage. Just check on where your Google storage is at periodically, just to make sure you're not near the maximum. You'll get notifications if you're at 80 or 90%, but just keep an eye on it so nothing starts running wrong or you just have a sense of how much you're using. The other thing to keep in mind, which is a pain, but true, if you choose to pay for additional storage, but then cancel that storage eventually, you're going to have to get your storage back down to 15, the free 15 gigabytes. You're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that storage otherwise. You're either going to have to delete a lot of things or you're going to have to back them up somewhere else. So just keep that in mind when you start paying for storage. You need to keep paying for storage in order to keep everything that you've kept in that 100 gigabytes or whatever of storage. Otherwise, you're going to have to come back down to the free level. Just something to keep in mind. Something I bought into by paying for storage, but just part of the territory. I wanted to show you here too, just what my storage looks like from my personal account because it's a little bit more interesting. It's more complicated than the other account that I showed you that wasn't using much space at all. So this is what mine looks like. This is my personal account. I pay for 100 gigabytes of storage and I haven't used that much, but I do have it broken down here. So I'm at 22.11 and that'll keep me going for a while. I do back up all of my photos, all of my videos to Google Drive. I get a lot of emails with big attachments. So this just is showing you how much space 100 gigabytes is. It should be enough for most people beyond that 15 gigabytes for free if you're hitting that. Google Photos is taking up the most for me. Gmail, those are attachments and stuff. This is the backup from my device, but I'm not using Drive that much on my personal account, so it's not as much. But if I wanted to go in there and clean up space, the one I would probably target is Google Photos, just because it's the biggest, so that's it. I've used 22% of my storage. I could go in there and delete things if I needed to, but clearly I don't. I have 100. I'm only like less than a quarter of the way there. So that gives me a little bit of padding. I pay $1.99 a month for that 100 gigabytes. You always want to make sure that you get on top of that before your Gmail stops working and you run out of space entirely.